moments in life so soaked in sorrow, so saturated in silence, that the veil between our world and the next thins just enough for something to slip through. In a modest home wrapped in shadows and memories, a man, Jay, returned to the place that had raised him. But this wasn't a homecoming. It was a reckoning, a farewell. His father had just passed away after a brutal, unforgiving war with pancreatic cancer. And now, Jay was here to prepare for the funeral. The walls of his childhood bedroom, once filled with laughter and warmth, now felt alien, like the house had aged overnight, collapsing under the weight of death itself. The furniture was familiar, but the energy was different. Tense, cold, watchful. Jay couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't think clearly. He drifted between planning the details of a funeral and fighting back a storm of grief that seemed to tighten its grip with each breath. For days, sleep came in fragments, if at all. But that morning was different. He awoke at 5 a.m., not from a dream, but from something heavier, a pull. Tossing and turning in his childhood bed, Jay rose, went to the bathroom, then returned to lay down. The house was silent, still in the grip of early dawn. Yet something was watching. He was sure of it. He closed his eyes, not to sleep, but to escape. And then, something impossible happened. A small white light, no bigger than a pinhead, appeared across the room. Jay's eyes fluttered open. It was still there, blinked, still there. No electronics, no devices, no reflection. Just a blank wall and the couch where he used to sit as a boy, staring out the window with childhood dreams. Now something stared back. The light grew, slowly, silently, expanding until it stretched 5 feet across. It wasn't harsh, it wasn't blinding, but it was pure. A glowing orb with edges too soft to define. From within, shadows moved, subtle but alive, like dancing silhouettes hidden behind a curtain of fog. Jay couldn't breathe, not out of fear, but something else. Awe, dread, comfort, and then a voice. It wasn't imagined, it wasn't internal, it was him. The voice was calm, solid, familiar, a sound Jay had known all his life. Jay, it said, stop worrying, stop it, it's going to be fine. And there's nothing you should feel bad for. His father's voice. But his father was dead. The words sank deep, deeper than any hug, deeper than any goodbye. In that moment, something inside Jay released. The fear, the sorrow, the guilt, gone. He felt warmth rush over him, not metaphorical, literal, like a wave of sunlit water washing over every inch of skin. It pulsed through him, peaceful, pure, real. The calm didn't just touch him, it enveloped him. And then, silence again. The light faded, the shadows dissolved, and just as suddenly as it had arrived, it was gone. Jay lay there for a long time, frozen in the stillness, eyes wet, hands trembling. He cried, not with the panic of the grieving, but the gratitude of the touched. Something had happened in that room, something no human words could truly contain. As the first light of morning spilled through the blinds, Jay remained still, eyes wide open. Every fiber of him echoed with something he couldn't name. What had just happened? A dream? A hallucination? Or a visit? He finally sat up, hands still trembling. His face was wet with tears. He hadn't stopped crying since the moment the light disappeared. Not the type of tears that come with panic, but the kind that empty you, that leave you hollow, yet somehow healed. He thought it was over, but something else was waiting. Just as he began to gather himself, a new sound shattered the stillness. A meow, loud, piercing, thunderous, so loud in fact that the very walls seemed to vibrate with it. Jay flinched. He knew that sound, that kind of meow, didn't belong to any ordinary cat. It was familiar, like a forgotten sound dragged from the past. His uncle's cat, perhaps? Maybe the family had already woken up? He rose, dazed but functioning, and stumbled into the hallway. The meow echoed again, louder this time, more insistent. Not distant or muffled. It felt close, almost directed at him. And then nothing. Silence. The kind that doesn't feel peaceful, but wrong. He descended the stairs slowly, expecting noise, movement, chatter. Surely someone was up by now. It was almost 7 a.m., and his extended family was supposed to arrive for the 4 p.m. funeral lunch. Maybe they were early, but the house was still, unnaturally so. No voices, no shuffling feet, no doors opening, no uncle, no cat, no one. Just the house and him. Jay stood in the center of the living room, surrounded by furniture that hadn't moved in years. Photographs stared back at him from the walls, and though everything looked the same, it felt off. Like he had stepped sideways into a place that looked like his home, but didn't breathe the same way. He called out, "Nothing." He walked to the guest rooms, still nothing. And then, the realization hit. His uncle wasn't staying over. No one was due until that afternoon. There was no cat in the house. Not anymore. And that sound? That unmistakable, wall-rattling meow. It sounded exactly like Milo, Jay's childhood pet. A cat that had passed away years ago. A cat who had been known for one peculiar trait, meowing loud enough to shake the windows. Jay stumbled back into the hallway, eyes wide, chest heaving. First his father's voice. Now Milo's cry? Was this coincidence? Some grief-induced break from reality? Or was someone or something reaching out from the beyond? He didn't know, he couldn't know. But what he felt was real, too real. There are things grief can explain away. Hallucinations, dreams, echoes of stress. But there are also moments that defy logic, that whisper to something deeper, older within us. A voice that calms the soul, a sound that breaks the silence, a warmth in the coldest hour. Some say it's the mind playing tricks. Others know better. They felt it too. If you've ever seen a light where there shouldn't be one, heard a voice long silenced, or felt the unmistakable presence of someone who is no longer living, you're not alone. These moments aren't just memories. Sometimes they are messages, and sometimes they are real. Subscribe to hear more true stories from the edge of the veil. Comment below if you've ever had an experience that made you question what death really means. And remember, some goodbyes are just the beginning.